Hey guys, welcome back to Nat One Videos. Today is part one of my collaboration project with my good friend Collin Bressie, aka Crazy Crafter. Crazy Crafter has a channel on YouTube that does a live stream for crafting every Sunday. So it's kind of like interviews with crafters and just making stuff on screen. It's really, really good fun. So yeah, check his channel out. But we decided to do a project together about a month ago, and I have been working on it over the course of that month while I've been doing the live stream with him. So yeah, so some of the footage that I'm including today will be of me building while I'm on his Sunday live stream, so it's all kind of tied together. I'm not going to say too much about the project right now. I'm just going to get into the video and I'm going to do some voiceovers and explain what's going on. Let's get into it.
What are you working on this week, Michael? I know you can't tell me too much, but what do you got going on this week? What are you messing around with?
Well, I'm basically the little collaboration project that we've decided that we're going to do. I'm starting that today, so I literally have tons of XPS foam that I'm carving up right now. I am going to let you see a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Mostly making measurements today and just getting a rough idea of things. There's not going to be much detail today. It's going to be a lot of mathematics, figuring out just the shape of it and then cutting it up, hopefully. So here we go with the build, and it's a bit of a tiresome process measuring out these measurements and doing things exactly. That's normally the way I work, but the measurements for anyone who's interested are 11.5 inches wide, 17.5 inches long and 3 3/4 deep. So I was very grateful to have Sunday afternoons chatting with Collin and some of the other crafters on his channel, because it was a perfect time for me to sit and do a task like this and actually have some company at the same time. So basically these three sides are going to be glued. So it's kind of like a tray like that. These three sides will be glued, but this one I'm going to create some slots here that it'll slot down in, like perfectly fit.
That's cool. I like the slot idea. That's gonna be super cool.
Okay, so on to gluing the box together. I've done a little freeze frame here just so I can point out the joints that I'm using to actually glue the piece together more strongly. These apparently are called rabbet joints. I actually didn't even know that at this point, and it was right now that Daniel West, one of the other crafters on this stream, told me, oh, those are rabbet joints, and I was like, yeah, those are rabbet joints, but I actually didn't know that. I was just trying to piece it together in a way that was going to make it more strong, and it certainly did that. But yeah, thanks to Daniel for letting me know what they are, because now I can tell other people that they are rabbet joints.
Forward, I think it's great. Yeah. It's always
It
cool.
works.
You know, I think Michael's had success. I think Michael did it.
I did. It is a fully fledged.
Bravo, sir. Bravo. That looks great. How does that feel right now?
I am quite happy with it, to be honest. And then
It looks awesome.
yeah, so this will be playable. You set that on your top. You're gonna have your church and your graveyard up here, and then there'll be catacomb, so there'll be a tomb that you're going to be able to lift, and underneath the tomb there's going to be a set of stairs. So then you can lift that tomb and just have a look down in if you want, but then you can also go
Very cool.
and then
So
play it,
cool.
pull the front off.
Spoiled rotten is what I am.
So now I'm just using my knife to shape off the top of the box and give it a nicer sort of stone-like quality. It's going to become some terrain on top. So I'm just going to use this opportunity with this time lapse to tell you about the Crazy Crafter stream that happens every Sunday. I really enjoy it. I'm there every Sunday at the minute because I've got the time to do it. We just get together with some other crafters. They come on and show their builds of the week. We do a bit of a bin build together. It's a really, really fun time. We learn a lot from each other. So if you want to get involved, get in touch with Collin Bressie over at Crazy Crafter channel, and he'd love to have you on. And here we go, guys. It's my finished box ready to make my project. And inside, these are all just offcuts, but I'm going to be cutting these down into bricks to use within the project. So let's put those to one side for now. Okay, so let's just take a quick closer look at the box. Obviously, the top is going to be my outdoor terrain, and then beneath is going to be the catacombs in here. Now just some closer up parts about the box. You can see I have a really nice lid that I've carved into the lid so that it fits nice and snugly like this. I just think that that is a really cool little thing. Also, if we take the lid off, this front panel slides out so that it's more of an easier tabletop kind of playable game. So it slides out by the use of these grooves that I made in the side, as you can see. Get it in. So yeah, and then slides down in like so. First things first, we are going to focus on the dungeon aspect of this terrain. On my channel so far, I've done quite a few outdoor terrain bits, trees and rocks and stuff like that there, but I haven't done any indoor terrain yet, so that's what we're going to focus on today. Yeah, so now I need to figure out how I'm going to lay out my dungeon. I've got a few ideas, so let's see how this comes together. Okay, we're going to make some steps to go inside my dungeon. I want to make it so that they are 1-inch wide steps for minis, so that people can use this dungeon to play, and that if someone wants to be standing halfway up the steps, their mini can stand there. Yeah, nothing too complicated about this. I'm just going to do it, and I'm going to do a time lapse. I've already started cutting part. Yeah. Building this little staircase was actually one of the more enjoyable parts of the whole entire build for me, because I knew exactly what I wanted to do before I started building the staircase in terms of measurements. I knew that I wanted a 1-inch wide step so that you can put your mini on without it falling over or anything, and I knew that I didn't want to do anything deeper than 10 centimeters. My XPS foam is 20 centimeters thick, so I was going to cut it in half to get my step depth. So each step is 10 centimeters deep, and that kind of seemed to really work out here for me because it just put it together really easily. Okay, time for the old tinfoil stone texture trick. I'm going to do the whole thing. One of the best things about working with XPS foam is that you can carve it easily, you can cut it easily, and you can leave marks in it easily. This is really handy when it comes to texturing. So I start with a tinfoil ball, pretty much like everybody else, and then I just start picking out bits of foam and putting cracks in and stuff just to make it look really rough. When it's painted, it's going to look awesome. Okay, there we go. Really nicely textured up. I really like my stairs. The only mistake that I've made is that I kind of made them even the spacing instead of like tiles on the top, but I still think they look really good. Yeah, quite happy with those. So let's check these out inside the dungeon. They're going to come into my dungeon like that. Now, that really takes up a bit of space to the edge, so I'm starting to think that I should put them at the side like so, so they come down into a dungeon. Still trying to figure out what to do really. One thing I do know for sure though is that I want to match this wall effect all the way around the inside of this dungeon, which is going to take quite a bit of time. So I'm going to do a time lapse, but it'll probably be a faded out time lapse. I'm not going to show the whole entire process, but that's what I'm going to do next. I am going to do brickwork on the inside of my dungeon. Whenever I start to develop the idea for a project in my head, I very rarely take into consideration the amount of time it's going to take. I just come up with an idea that I like and I start going for it and start building it. With this project though, it started to take a lot longer than I was expecting. I started carving these bricks into the wall. I mean, this time lapse is super sped up, so it was a long time. I think I managed to watch nearly half a movie by the time I'd finished just this part of the build. So yeah, carving bricks sucks. Roughing up the inside of my dungeon with lots of damage, and all these little bits of offcuts may come in handy as little bits of boulders and stuff like that later on. But yeah, just one more step is to put the tinfoil ball trick, and then the walls are done. Okay, so the walls are all done internally on the dungeon. I have my steps leading down into the dungeon, but I need to decide where to put them. Oh, at the back there is pretty cool actually. Maybe that's a good idea. Doesn't take too much of the room up there. Okay. I wasn't going to do that, but maybe I should do that. Interesting. As you can see, I'm making things up as I go along. I was thinking about putting the steps here and having a room here and a room here, but maybe at the back is the right place to do it. And have the entrance to the catacombs here. Interesting. So yeah, I've got a bit of figuring out to do. Do you know, that actually looks really good. I think I've got to do it in the corner. Decision made. I'm just going to make decisions and just go with it. So I'm working to a 1 inch equals 5 feet kind of scale, and that way you can have your miniatures on it and you can move them around. In the dungeon I am going to be doing a grid system, kind of like dungeon tiles, because I actually quite like that aesthetically. On top though, the terrain, the more natural side of things, I'm not going to have a grid system. It's going to be more sort of free play, and you can measure as you go along. So I've got my grid drawn out. I've had to offset the space a little bit to make the grid work, but it looks fine. I'm going to put one door here. That's going to be a door, one door here. That's going to be a door, and one door here. So that is my rough plan. Door here, door here, door here. These will be walls built up. Maybe I'll think of things to put in these empty rooms. I'm hoping that to leave some of like the interior decor to Collin. I might as well just go ahead and glue this in. Bit of a shame because there's some lovely texture on this side as well, but yeah, it definitely looks best in this corner, so just going to whack it in there. Ow! Burned my hand with hot glue. Pants. Oh well. You get the occasional hot glue burn, don't you? It is getting late and I need to start getting some earlier nights. I've been doing projects until 3 o'clock in the morning most nights for about a month now, and yeah, I need to improve my schedule a little bit. But before I go to bed, I want to do one last thing, and that is to texture all of the tiles. So we're going to do that before we go to bed. Where is my tinfoil? So this is the perfect opportunity to tell you guys that I'm not going to be posting videos on Mondays anymore. I'm moving my schedule to Wednesdays and Fridays so that I can have a long weekend to build and still get time to spend with my family, and I'm not editing the whole entire time, which has been happening this last month. Okay, I'm back and I'm going to carry on with this build, and I'm just going to get started on some doors and door arches, and then I am going to build bricks around the door arches, which is going to take ages to build the bricks, but I am going to use balsa wood to make my doors. In terms of sizing, this is my last piece of balsa wood that I have right now. So I want to get 3 doors out of this, and I want to use double thickness of balsa wood. So the doors sizes are going to be dictated by this piece of balsa wood. So I'm going to do a time lapse of measuring out of this and cutting up some doors. Here we go. I love working with balsa wood when it comes to miniature builds. I love working with wood in general, but the problem with balsa wood is that it is very flimsy. It's very thin and soft wood, so if you cut in the direction of the grain, which I'm going to be doing in this build, you can cut through it very easily or break it. So I sandwich 2 pieces of balsa wood with some cardstock in between, and it gives it that strength, and you can cut into it without breaking it. Whenever it comes to making the swinging action on the door so that it opens, I used a toothpick and some string, and I just tied it around the toothpick and glued it in between, and this seemed to work really well for me. It's not the best technique, I've seen way better doors out there, but for this build it worked just right, I think. Okay, it's a little bit rough and ready, but this is an idea I've got for a door, and the rough idea is that it's going to stick into the floor like so, and it'll also stick up into the door lintel like so, and we should have a door that then opens. That's the plan. Now, building the arch around the door in the correct manner might be a difficult thing, because as the door opens it will stop itself from opening, so I've got to figure that out. But yeah, I'm going to build 3 of these and then see how we can fit them into the build. Woohoo! Carving more XPS foam. So these doors are going to come in rather useful for my graveyard. So yeah, I love carving things, it's really good fun, but I think it's about time I get myself a Proxon hot wire cutter. Not quite yet, I'm going to be carving for a while, but it's coming. I'm going to try and put this door in. I'm pretty sure this is really not the best method of making doors now, but because of time constraints, etc., I'm going to proceed. The doors will open. I mean, at the end of the day, if Collin wants, he can just take the doors out and have them as open door panels, and they can do a theatre of the mind kind of thing. But they do swing open. They're just not very perfect. But they will do the trick, I think. If I had had longer, and maybe I should have watched some other tutorials, I might have done it differently. But for now, I'm going to proceed with these. Not bad. Once the other bricks are in place, I'm going to build bricks up and build the wall up. It'll be secure and solid. And yep, as you can see, the door does in fact open and close like so. It's just, I think it could be done better, but yep, I'm happy enough with that for now. I'm not going to film the whole process of me doing all 3 doors. I'll get all 3 doors in and then I'll come back for laying down a bit of a time lapse on the bricks. But we are making progress. I've done my doors. They're all glued in. Doors all glued in. And I am going to make a little font thing for the corner of the room. I started making it and I thought I'd press record on my camera, so I'd started carving it already. I've carved a triangle with a circle, half circle, sort of, it's a quarter of a circle. And I've done a lip on it, and I'm now going to do some brickwork on here, and then I'm going to cut it out and gouge it out so that it's like a little font in the middle of the room. It's amazing how a little detail such as a font in the corner of a room can open up the possibilities for a good DM to tell some stories. This could be a magical pool or something. I've got my little corner font. Very simple. and once that's glued in, I'll seal the edges, and once it's painted up, I will be able to put some epoxy resin in there, and I'll have a little water font in the middle of, in the corner of the room. And a DM can make it up what they want to do with it. There we go. That looks pretty cool. I quite like that. Let's see. So this might be pretty much there for what I'm going to send to Collin, apart from the walls and just carving in the brickwork around the doors. So we're very, very close. Okay, so with this project I'm going to try out something that I've been wanting to do in a project for a while, and this is just an opportunity to do something cool. I'm going to make a little mirror, so I've got myself a large button. The center part's going to be the mirror, and this automatically looks like a nice mirror. It's going to be stuck at the end of the hall or somewhere in the dungeon. So I've been playing Dungeon of the Mad Mage recently, and yeah, there's this hall of mirrors, and whenever you look into them, a kind of spectral form of yourself appears. So basically a good DM is going to be able to use this cool mirror in the dungeon in some kind of way. And what I want to do is to do a gold leaf mirror. I've never done gold leafing before. This is again stuff I'm pinching from my wife's arts and crafts materials, but I've been wanting to try it out, so I'm going to try it out. And yeah, if I can get the lid of this open, yeah, cool. So basically, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I'm told we just cover everywhere that we want to be in gold leaf with some of this acrylic gold size fluid, and then we leave it until it becomes tacky, and then we are going to put the gold leaf on top. So yep, going to make myself a little mirror here, and hopefully it goes okay. Apparently I have to leave that for 15 minutes before I can lay the gold leaf on top. This could be a disaster, it might not make the video, so let's just see what happens. I've left that for 15 minutes and it has gone tacky. Now, this is an experiment and I've never done it before, so we'll see what happens. And also, just so anyone knows, this is imitation gold leaf, this is not real gold leaf, so, you know, this isn't a massive extravagance. I really don't know how to do this. Peel some off and just stick it on the places, I guess. So while that's tacking up and getting ready for me to finish the gold leaf, I'm just going to make the mirror part. I've got a little button that fits nearly perfectly into the center, and I'm just going to cover it in tin foil to try and make it look like a mirror. I'm hoping that just wrapping this around it will be enough, and then I can hot glue it in when it's ready. Take off that excess like so. Yep. So that's not bad. The edges kind of crinkle up a little bit, but it gives off the impression of a mirror, which is going to go in the center. And there is the little mirror for the corridor. Looks pretty good. I think I need to practice my gilding or gold leafing. And the tinfoil's a little crinkled at the edges, but it's a miniature and it gives the impression of a mirror. Don't look in it or your spectral self will stand behind you. We're on to the final stages of this dungeon build, and the last part of the build is bricks. I was considering just putting in panels and carving the bricks in, but I'm going to build bricks, I've decided. So I'm chopping lots of these thin bits. I'm going to cut them up into bricks and texture them. Yep, so that's what I'm probably going to be doing for the next hour or two. So it's going to be quite a time lapse, I'd imagine. So I've textured up my strips of XPS. No doubt I'm going to need a lot more, but I want to get started actually gluing and see if I can get this finished off tonight. So the next part of the process is just to cut them up into bricks. So yeah, here we go. Ready to start gluing the bricks. I've made a pile. I'm probably going to need to make more. But yeah, I'm going to glue some bricks and do a time lapse. Here we go. And here we go, guys, part one of my build for Collin Crazy Crafter complete. So as you can see, I've built him a little dungeon, catacombs kind of thing. Maybe he'll put some, you know, tombs and stuff in here. I don't know what he's going to do. I'm going to leave that to Collin, and I'm going to get on with the top part of this build for the next video. So one or two things about this project that I've noticed is I really want to complete it myself, and it's going to be really, really hard to send this to Collin, but we've made a commitment and I'm going to send this to Collin. But you know, it's so tempting to go ahead and paint it. You know, I've got all these ideas myself, but I'm going to rely on Collin to put his ideas into this dungeon. So there we go. Part 2 is coming later in this week. I'm not going to say which day because I keep saying days and then running over, but I'm hoping that it's going to be Friday. I'll see you on Friday, hopefully.